Consultants met with the State Board of Education in an emergency meeting today to recommend ways to shorten the ISTEP test per Governor Pence's request. News Channel 15's Lamar Holliday went over those recommendations today. Lamar?
Well, Heather, there were two major ones. The consultants suggested taking out the social studies portion for 5th and 7th graders and sprinkling in experimental questions in the core test instead of having a separate test. One educator sits on an advisory board for Glenda Ritz, and he says they will recommend their own findings to make this test more efficient.
This is the emergency meeting with the State Board of Education this morning. The goal? To shorten the ISTEP test that's more than a week away.
It was simply too long a test to require our students to do.
Carrie Wicker sits on the board. She was in Indianapolis this morning to hear a consulting group called on by Governor Pence recommend how to shorten the test. There were two major ones: removing social studies for 5th and 7th graders and sprinkling in experimental questions that were going to be in a separate test into the regular exam.
The Department of Education was meeting along with the experts this afternoon, and they were going to determine exactly what needed to be done by what schools. Dr. Wiley Sirk is an IPFW education professor and sits on the State Superintendent Glenda Ritz's advisory board, a board that discusses and advises Ritz on a variety of issues, including ISTEP. He claims this is too much for teachers and students to handle right now.
It's just really a mess, and it's causing lots of concerns by our parents, rightly so.
Sirk mentions that members of Ritz's advisory board will be following this closely and coming up with their own recommendations to present for future ISTEP testing.
State Superintendent Glenda Ritz will be able to enforce dividing up the new state standard questions among the schools through the Department of Education. The General Assembly will have to approve taking out social studies for 5th and 7th grades, which Wicker says Ritz was told lawmakers will be willing to move quickly due to the time sensitivity of the matter. And Heather, at this time, it is unknown when they will take up that vote.
Okay, thanks, Lamar.